Hey friends, I hope you're doing well. Thank you for stopping by. Hey, let's talk about celebrating today. Celebrating in advance. Because God is about to do something. And I don't know if you feel it too, but I am feeling it like in my bones. Like I know that He is about to move mountains. He is about to rip open the skies for His people and pour out blessings. And, He's been speaking to me about celebrating in advance for such a long time now, like 6 months or 8 months or a year. I don't even know how long. Go back in my journal and I keep finding it. And I go back another 3 or 6 months or something. And I keep finding it again, like celebrate me in advance, celebrate me in advance, praise in advance, pray in advance, celebrate me in advance. And I'm like, okay, like, how do I do that? Because honestly, like I've been in this place and I know other people are in this place too, where things have just been so hard. They've just been so hard for us. And it has been literally like so hard for me to wrap my head around how to celebrate. And it's kind of shameful to even say that because God has just saved us from so much. He's been so good to us. So lately I've been thinking about this, really like digging into it. Like, how does that even look like? What does it look like to celebrate? Which that sounds ridiculous. But honestly, like the last time I celebrated, I was not living a Christian life. Like I can't say that. I mean, like we celebrate birthdays and holidays and whatnot, but you know what I mean? Like, those days before Jesus, that kind of a thing. But, we don't celebrate. I don't celebrate that way anymore. I don't even drink anymore. So I'm like, well, how did they do this in Bible times? Like the first thing that popped into my head was the prodigal son, and that father celebrated his son coming home. And this was a son who had like ran off, spent all his money, lived this crazy life, kind of the same things that we all do. But, he killed the fatted calf. And this was something special. This was a calf that was like, saved up for a special occasion. He killed the fatted calf. He gave him a robe. He gave him a ring. He gave him sandals. He called for a great celebration, music and singing and dancing. And it's funny because it's like make a joyful noise. The Bible says that. And many of us, you don't go running around saying, "Woohoo! Yeah, let's celebrate." Most of us don't do that, but maybe we should. Maybe we should, because honestly, when we think about what is coming and the good things that God has for us, we should be hooping and hollering. We should be going nuts and just like, I mean, why are we not? So, I don't know. I'm just, the Bible says in Philippians 4:4, rejoice. Where is it? Because I got it confused with another one. I got to look this up real quick. Rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I say rejoice. And then another one in First Thessalonians 5:18, which is like literally one of my favorite, is rejoice always, pray without singing, in everything give thanks. And shouldn't we be doing that? I mean, shouldn't we really truly just be giving thanks all the time to Him because of His greatness, because of His mercy and His compassion and all of the good things that He has done for us? When I think about some of the things that He has saved me from, I started literally like writing them in my journal as memorial stones, like altar memorial stones or something, because I don't want to forget these things. And that was what the problem was with the children of Israel. They didn't remember the mighty things that He had done. Like we think if we were in Egypt and we witnessed the things that they went through, all of the 10 plagues and stuff, we think that we would be like, I would never be like that. I would never be ungrateful. I would never complain. But we do. We complain about the things in our own lives. And honestly, like most of us have more than plenty. And, that alone, just having air conditioning, is something to rejoice about. But I started writing these memorial stones, and the more that I started to write them down, the more I was like, wow, wow, Lord, thank you so much. You literally have saved my life. You literally saved my life like multiple times. And, one in particular, I remember that I just love this story so much. my husband and I were driving, and our daughter, I think she was about 8 at the time, she was in the back seat, and we're driving on this highway back in Illinois when I lived there. And the pressure in the car like suddenly changed. Like it was really, really subtle. It was just kind of a noise that changed, but something I could tell. And so we go on a couple of miles, and this is like a highway. So we're going like 75, 80. I don't know what we were doing. But anyway, I look at my husband and he looks at me, and, you know, we pull over, and literally like he gets out and he looks, and the front end of our car was dragging. Like the front end was dragging, going 80 miles an hour. So I'm like, immediately I think of like a bungee cord, and, you know, my husband was already in the trunk by this point. Well, we had just cleaned out the car and there was literally nothing in the trunk at all. So I go back there and I start looking and digging around, and, you know, it's clean as a whistle back there. And I heard in my spirit, look down. And I'm like, okay. So I look down, and at my feet literally was a black rubber bungee cord. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Tom, look at this, you know? And so, you know, he puts it on the car and away we go. And then for the next like 4 or 5 miles, like on the side of the highway, I would see a black bungee cord about every half mile. So it's like things like these, you know, like we have these little experiences that are literally miraculous. And then you think about the other ones, the daily things like having food to eat and clean water, and, you know, a washing machine or a dryer if you have one of those, clean clothes, you know, things like this that are like, we're so blessed. There's so many things to celebrate. So, you know, if you've been hearing this and you clicked on this video, because if you clicked on this video, you probably are hearing this, do it. Celebrate him, and celebrate in advance, because like I said, I can feel it in my spirit. And he is about to move mountains for you. He is about to move mountains for me. And we're going to see the glory of God so massively. So let's start celebrating. Have a great day. Bye.